And even though I did a video this morning, I'm doing a quick Cats Live vid today on Friday. Really excited because I want to share with you something yummy to eat over the weekend. I was going to make this for lunch for myself, and I decided I'd wait so that I could get it videotaped and you guys could maybe enjoy it as well. So today we're going to make Thai lettuce wraps. If you've ever had a lettuce wrap at like a P.F. Chang's or a restaurant, an Asian restaurant out, they're delicious. They're gluten-free, they're yummy, they have a lot of flavor. So what I want to do is take you through a very simple recipe that I found actually on Pinterest. So the first thing I want to do is just show you a couple of things that we started with here. I'm going to post the recipe afterwards, so I don't have to go through measurements with you now so that you'll have them. But the very first thing that you want to do is that you're going to have to make sure that you have all the ingredients. The hardest thing is having some unique Asian ingredients in the house, but once you've purchased them, you don't have to worry about it again because they last a long time. The other thing that you want to make sure that you do is when you read the recipe is you want to pre-measure all your goods out. I don't know if Cam, can you show them? I don't know if you can see. Everything's all pre-measured out. I once heard that the difference between an amateur cook and a professional cook is that the professional cook pre-measures everything out so they can just grab it and go. And I have to say, anybody from Lancaster that went to Lancaster schools, if you went to kindergarten and you had Miss Zanglis, one of the very first things that I remember in my youth actually kind of grasping and holding on to was the importance of reading all the directions first and then going back and doing something. It's the same kind of idea of laying out all your ingredients because then everything's all ready for you. And she did that with a test where you read all these ingredients in the very last, or this test where you read all these things that you were supposed to do, and the very last thing was you don't have to do any of them. So the kids that didn't listen to the rules and read everything first, totally like they screwed themselves. So anyhow, this is sesame oil. So as you can see, I use a lot of it. I'm down to the very bottom. But the very first thing you want to do is use the sesame oil in your pan, and you're actually going to saute up very finely chopped mushrooms. Now, I just use button mushrooms, and when I do them, I do a very, very rough chop. I just chop everything up here very quickly, and I go through it, turn it to the side, go through it again, and as it cooks in the pan, it cooks down so that it gets teeny tiny. Now, the one bit of advice that I can tell you about your mushrooms is that mushrooms contain a lot of moisture. So when they're cooking down, it's going to feel like there's a lot of water in your pan. You want to continue to cook your mushrooms until there's virtually no water and they start to brown. I don't know if you can see when you go in there, but some of them actually have brown pieces on them. I like them a little bit caramelized, but as long as you cook them through, you can see they've cooked down quite a bit. And just going to take them off the heat and put them to the side. If you cook them down properly, you won't have to drain them at all. The next thing you do after you take your mushrooms off the heat is you're going to brown up your chicken. Now, I use turkey. I buy my turkey pre-packed. It's the Shady Brook Farms or whatever I can find. It usually comes in a 1 pound package, and the recipe actually calls for 1 pound, so it's perfect. Today, I actually tripled my recipe because I'm making for my sister as well. I hate to shop and she hates to cook, so I cook for her, she shops for me. It's a perfect situation. So my recipe is going to be a lot bigger than yours might look like. So I just use ground turkey. You're going to brown it up after you've added a little bit more of your sesame oil. And after you've browned it up, you're going to drain it. Now, I have already browned and drained my turkey. So the one thing about turkey that's different than beef is that it's harder to get into those teeny tiny pieces. So do the best that you can by working it while you're browning it. But after we add our sauce, it's going to break down even more, so don't worry about it. So then we're going to drain that and put it back in the pan. Okay, so the next step is we're going to add our garlic. And I did want to just give you a little trick with garlic. You might know this already, but with your garlic clove, it has the skin on it. And if you use your garlic and you take the flat of your knife and you pound it down, what it's going to do is it's going to break your garlic apart, and then it can peel super, super easy because it just releases from the garlic clove completely. Then all you have to do is cut off that hard end, and then you can mince it by doing little, sticking to my fingers. You're just going to do little chops. Now, a trick that I heard about during a class at one of those cooking stores, that if you're feeling like your garlic is slippery, to add a little bit of salt to it. And when we add a little bit of salt to our garlic, it makes it chop so much more easily. So that's fine enough for me. I'm going to throw it into my garlic bowl. Okay, so the next thing we want to do after we've returned our, you can come over here if you want, yeah. After we've returned our turkey to the pan is we're going to add our garlic next. And when we add our garlic, I don't know if you've ever cooked garlic before. I assume if you're a human, you probably have, because, you know, it's garlic. And I think the best part of garlic is the aroma. So we're just going to cook this very shortly, maybe 30 seconds to a minute. And what happens is that the garlic starts to create an incredible garlicky aroma, and that's kind of, you don't want it to cook too much before you add your other ingredients, because what's going to happen is that the longer garlic cooks, it actually can become bitter. So all we want to do is have it to start release its own juices so that we get that really nice, delicious garlic flavor without overcooking. So we just let that kind of work in a little bit. And while I'm letting this sit for a moment, I'm going to show you what we're going to do with some other ingredients. So the next thing we have to do is take the rest of all of our delicious ingredients and mix them together as one thing. And I actually forgot a bowl, so I'm going to grab one here. And what we have here is we have rice vinegar. And rice vinegar is great to have in the house because if you like to make sushi at home or anything like that, it's kind of one of those weird ingredients, but once you have it, and it's great. The next thing we're going to add is a teriyaki marinade. Now, this one is a very light marinade, it's a sauce, a teriyaki sauce. I actually usually use a honey teriyaki sauce that makes it a little bit sweeter, and it's really good and thick. So the recipe calls for just a teriyaki sauce. I like a honey teriyaki, but this is all I had. The next thing is just soy sauce, which goes into most Asian cuisine. And then hoisin sauce. Now hoisin sauce, if you're not really familiar with it, is very plummy tasting, and it has a sweetness to it, and it has a thickness to it. So what I love about this recipe is that it has different textures going into the sauce, so we're able to cook it down and let it be a little bit thicker so that it really sticks to the turkey. And then the next thing, the recipe calls for sriracha. Now, I didn't have any sriracha in the house, and I don't know if I've ever made it with sriracha because I seem to always have other things. Today I'm just using a chili sauce. And this is simply for a little flavor and mostly heat. So whatever type of hot sauce you like, sriracha is great, just use that. And then the last two ingredients are ginger. I have to say I have never made this without fresh ginger, so I don't really know what it's going to taste like, but I must have used up the rest of my fresh ginger that I usually keep in my freezer, so I'm using just the powdered version. Now the thing with powdered herbs is that they're more potent than the fresh, so you want to maybe cut down just a little bit. And then the very last thing is some cornstarch. And the cornstarch is designed to give us that nice thickness. So I'm going to just let this sit for a second, and I'll mix it afterwards, because I can smell my garlic. And the next thing I need to do now is add back first my mushrooms. And I have to let you guys in on a little bit of secret. My boyfriend doesn't like mushrooms. And I've made this for him multiple times, and he loves it. But he doesn't know it has mushrooms in it. So a lot of times, if you want people to eat things that maybe they should eat, just mask it in a meal and they'd never know. So I try to keep him out of the kitchen as much as possible so that he doesn't know what's in his food. And then the next thing is basil. Now I shred my basil. The only reason I shred it as opposed to chopping it is because I think it looks pretty cool. And whenever I've been out to real Asian food, they usually shred it, and I try to be real authentic. So I just add that in. The mushrooms are already cooked. The basil is there for fragrance and a little bit of flavor. And now all I have to do is add in my sauce. So I just need to break down this cornstarch a little bit. so that my sauce will be thickening as I cook it. Make sure it's all blended. I can smell it. It smells spicy. The ginger has a really nice aroma. You can almost smell the sweetness, but of course I can smell my turkey as well, which I love the smell of meat cooking. So we're just going to pour this over our mixture. Make sure everything's in there. And as you can see already, that color is looking rich and delicious. Now, I have also at times put some red pepper flakes into this, if you like red pepper flakes. It really just depends on your taste. I will let you in on a little secret that I am not a cook. I will admit that I can bake. I've never been a good cook. So me trying these new recipes is just me trying to venture out of my comfort zone because I love to eat. So I guess I should eat something other than baked goods. So I am really loving this journey with you guys. I would love for you to try this. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and post the recipe. If you try it, let me know how it came out. All you're going to do now, you're going to let it cook down a little bit so the flavors really meld, and you're going to serve it in either Bibb lettuce or a Boston lettuce. You can roll it up. I actually like to just pour it over my salad. I've put it in baked potatoes. You can do anything with it because the flavor is amazing. I just like to spoon it sometimes too. So that's all I've got for you guys. I wanted to share this recipe. I hope you give it a try. Please comment or share this with somebody else that wants to try some Asian food at home. And it's super easy. All right, thanks guys. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.